Hello everybody, Shifu the Cards here. I'm very excited to do another deck for you. I am now a late night talk show host and a member and an owner of a podcast. A lot has changed, and thank y'all for that, allowing me to do that. So let's look at this deck. It's called Taking Ciaran of Business. It's a Soyatail deck. It's very fun. It's very strong. It's done very well for me. So to start off the deck, you're looking at a couple different focuses here. The first focus is you want to try to win. If you get Isengrim round one, that's a wrap. You should win round one pretty much every time, considering that he will give you such a power surge in round one that you will overwhelm your opponent and take round one. You should win at all costs. You also have in round two, you have the Vryhead Dragoons that'll pump up, and this is where you have, I like to call it my wishbone offense of this deck. You have three ways you can go. You can go Bran, which is from my friend Codexel. He showed me the power of Bran in his win to the Passive Floor Championship, which I shoutcast. Bran is very good. Pump points into her, use her to win late game round 3, make her like a 16 or 20, hit whatever your opponent has on the board, you win, game over, GG, have fun, goodbye. So round 1, you win with Isengrim. Round 2, you just use Vryhead Dragoons to pump up Big Red, Bran, and you win with Bran round 3. That's one tact. Now you want to know who's going to have that in your hand. So you have a lot of different variables with that. So in this deck, you also have one Elven War Dancer. I love the Elven War Dancer. I think it's very strong. If nothing else, it'll take your opponent's focus because you're running quite a few traps. You have the 3 Sappers, you have Torville, and you have Taking Ciaran of Business. And really, it depends on what you get in your hand to tell you which way you're going to go with it. So if you get Big Red in your hand, by all means, pump her up, win round 3. But if you don't, there are some options in there. And because you have 3 different traps, your opponent really never knows which one's which. So you can do a nice game of you are the wild card in Gwent. You can pump up Torville and win with Torville round 2 and sneak a win. You can pump up Torville and then put down Ciaran and switch them up so they don't know what's going on. This way you keep them off base. They really never know what's going to hit them. It's quite fun. You have Decoy for more bounce back, for more strength. You have Aeromancy just to clear all of these 1 rows. Back before the positioning patch, it was the melee row, excuse me. So you snow them down. In this one, you can use rain for those Henselt decks that are pretty popular, and you go ahead and rain those down pretty well. You have the Blue Mountain Commandos to bounce back the Vryhead Dragoons to pump up your people, either Big Red, Torville, or Ciaran, or you can just pump up a Sapper. Just so many different options of your pump up late game. This deck is the very definition of responding to what your opponent's trying to do, countering it, and winning through sheer strength, power, a little bit of common sense. So it's really fun deck. You have a Scorch in there for big opponents. If you get this in your open hand, you want to keep it because the last thing you want to do is draw it with, and that's the alarm going off. You know it's good when the alarm's sounding. So last thing you want to do is Scorch yourself in round 1. So you want to try to keep that if you have on round 1. Scorch is really important because you get those big units. Late game wins round 1 when they're pumping up, you're pumping up. Hit them with the Scorch, game over, GG. You got a Decoy. It's just always just a good thing to have a Decoy. And really, that's the deck. It's a very similar deck. You use Elven Mercenaries round 1 to get the first lights. If you have Isengrim, that just gives you a power play. If you get a Decoy, it just keeps on churning out those combos. To be safe, what you want to do is if you have a Vryhead Dragoon in your opening hand, play that card first. Because what that does is if you happen to draw a Blue Mountain Commando off of your first light, you'll have something to put back. In other words, if you just throw a Elven Mercenary out there and you get a first light into a rally, you'll get a Blue Mountain Commando with nothing to bounce back because you can't bounce it back anymore. That's very important. So be aware of that. If you're going early game with a Mercenary, always make sure you have a Dragoon on the board to bounce. Other than that, it's really nasty, especially against all the decks you see out there, weather decks, things like that, because there's nothing for them to control because all your cards are for the most part hidden. So you can really take use of that. You want to keep card advantage. You want to make sure that you always go last for monster weather to hit that first light, which you should have access to, ample access to, especially with a Glace in there. Yorvith, now you could do one thing, a very popular, is to put Milva Roach in here instead of maybe the Decoy. That's something you can do if that's what you want to do. Milva Roach is very powerful. I didn't put that in. I had Yorvith in for more straightforward power. But that's the deck. So Taking Ciaran of Business. I'm Shifu of the Cards. By the way, please, I have a podcast, Codexel and I. We do a daily talk show on Gwent After Dark, Mondays through Friday, 10 p.m. CST to 11 p.m. CST. We're also on Podbean, where the only daily Gwent podcast, the first and the only. Go to www.gwentafterdark.podbean.com, and we would appreciate if you patron us. It's $1 a month or $5, whatever you want to donate to us. It would really help us get this as better shows for you. So that's the deck, taking care of the business. It's a really, really strong deck. I'll have gameplay later on. Shifu of the cards, Gwent After Dark, signing off. Y'all have a great day.